You're listening to the Savoir-Faire Audio Experience.
Are you ready?
The Savoir-Faire Experience is your guide to everything that has to do with lifestyle. From dating, rides, style, and entertainment. All brought to you by the editor of Savoir-Faire magazine, Robert White. Anything goes on this audio experience. So, let's go.
It's still the best.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Savoir-Faire Audio Experience. Thank you guys for sharing, caring, following, loving. We definitely appreciate all of the attention that you guys are giving us. Today is just another great interview from a great entrepreneur, a new author. Super excited to talk with Jay Bhatty. How are you doing, Jay?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, doing good, Jay. I appreciate you finding some time to chat with us. I'm definitely interested in talking with you about, your new adventure as an author, this new book. Looks like you've been doing some guest speaking stuff. You have a great company that I did some research on. So there's lots of topics for us to talk about, but I always kind of like to build a little bit of a timeline with entrepreneurs and learn a little bit about your backstory, if you don't mind. So can you take us back down memory lane a little bit and just let us know, where you grew up, where you went to college, and how this whole venture started for you?
Yeah, sure. I was born in India, and I was there till 18 years of age. And even as a kid growing up, there was always chronic electricity shortages. I grew up in Mumbai, India, which is one of the largest cities. And that always piqued my interest in the energy industry and the electricity. And fast forward, I came to the U.S. as an undergrad student when I was in Ohio. And I did a paper on the deregulation in the energy industry. And then when it was time to graduate, packed my bags and came down to Houston, Texas, which is the energy capital of the world, and started working here as a trader. And in the beginning, it was even hard for my mother to understand, how you trade electricity, natural gas, oil. For the longest time, she thought I was a stockbroker because I worked at a bank. But yeah, so that's how I got started in the energy industry. And now, with the energy industry, there's so much talk about, carbon footprint and energy reliability. There are wars being fought over energy, oil and natural gas in Russia, Ukraine. So it's definitely one of the most important commodities of our lives. And so that's what really got me going in this field.
I see. So kind of growing up in India and having a power shortage was kind of the kind of pull at your heartstrings kind of aspect of this for you. Like, you had a different career before you got into this industry, correct?
No, I've been in this industry pretty much my whole career in energy trading since I graduated. And now I have a software company that actually revolves around energy trading and logistics and providing solutions for other energy companies.
That's very cool. I want to talk about that too, actually. That was my next question. So natgashub.com is the website. This is you have to dive us into this industry a little bit because some of us don't have a clue what we're talking about today. But I do know about natural gas and the basics of it. So talk to me about what your company does and how it helps people.
Sure. Right. Yeah. So natural gas is a feedstock for electricity generation, one of the largest sources in North America. And so what the software really does is you can kind of think of it as a hotels.com or Expedia.com, where instead of going to 100 different hotel websites, you just go to one when you want to book travel. So similarly with shippers, energy shippers around the country, there is hundreds of different pipelines, natural gas pipelines, and shippers, energy companies, producers, when they want to move their commodity from where they drill it to where it's consumed in the major metropolitan areas, they have to transport it over this pipeline network. So the software really connects shippers and pipelines, and it finds the best possible way to do that, automate some of the communications between these companies. So it's a B2B software. And how it came about was my first day on the job. I was realized, very quickly that I had to go to so many different websites and log in with my username, password. I had 50 different spreadsheets, and I thought of the travel industry, and that's kind of how I came up with the idea. And now, a few years later, I started the company 5 years ago. It's quickly become the standard in the natural gas industry. And every pipeline and many different shippers in North America use our service.
That's kind of interesting. So I have more questions for you about this. We're going to go in a rabbit hole for a second. So all the natural gas that's produced in whatever, let's say America for this point, it's all in different pipelines, correct? So if I wanted to get natural gas from California to New York, as an example, there's a pipeline series that gas travels through to get to me?
Yeah, exactly. There's pipelines that are crisscrossing the U.S. and Canada. And depending on where the gas was drilled, it has to be put into an interstate or an intrastate pipeline and then transported by the shipper.
Wow. Okay. So when you go onto into your platform, so NatGas Hub is kind of like you mentioned, like hotels.com, everything's all in one. So I'm going to go there, and now I'm visualizing the travel industry websites that I've seen, right? So I'm just going to see which pipelines have the gas, the potential of the cost of that, and then I can manage multiple different pipelines to get the gas to my location?
Yeah, you can see what is called pipeline tariffs, the cost to transport the gas from, let's say, Texas to New York. And then when you're ready to actually move the gas, like book your hotel room, you have to put in your credit card information, your name information, all of that. Similarly, you have to pick the pipeline, and then you have to book the space on the pipeline. Tell them, hey, I want to move my commodity from Texas to New York for tomorrow, and this is the volume. And that, instead of hand typing it, and you may have to move it across 2 or 3 different pipelines to get to New York. So all of that process, the manual hand typing, is eliminated using software.
Wow, that's super cool. So if I want to order from pipeline A, it automatically transfers to B, then C, then D to get to me?
Yeah, exactly. The electronic order in the industry is what is called a gas nomination. And so you submit noms to different pipelines, they carry over, and you can have noms on 2 or 3 different pipelines to get your commodity from point A to point B.
That's cool. Well, thank you for breaking that down, because I was trying to understand a little bit of how that works. And obviously, natural gas is not my world. And so I was very interested in how this works. So the software that you have is really kind of like a nice, easy tool for someone that's in this industry to go in and be able to transfer natural gas smoothly without a bunch of, without going to multiple websites and having multiple logins. So that's really a huge issue that you solved.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big pain point that exists in the industry: hand typing, manual, and so many different interfaces. If you think about, every hotel website looks different from the other, and so the software, it kind of standardizes all of that and brings you. It's like a one portal for all these different pipelines, and shippers can come here and conveniently use one place, one portal to move their commodity.
That's super cool. Without giving too many of your trade secrets away, what's the tech that you're using to make this thing work? Is this are you part of the AI revolution that's happening in the last 5 years, or is this some kind of different tech that you kind of have created that does this?
Initially, this is a couple of years before ChatGPT was born. So the software itself is an automation software built with traditional technology. But then once AI started, we have infused AI into some of our products. For instance, trying to figure out, there's 500 different pipelines and utilities all over the U.S. How do you figure out where is the lowest cost? And it's public data, all the tariffs for these pipelines, but we use AI to aggregate it, standardize it, cleanse it, and present it to you in a user-friendly format so you can make decisions quicker.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. Well, I want to dive into a little bit more about you and what you have going on over there, because you've been doing a lot, Jay. You're not a quiet guy. You're one of these entrepreneurs that likes to be in front of the camera, and I respect that, because I also like being in front of the business and letting people see who I am. You obviously have launched a pretty extensive career for your entrepreneurship, but also for yourself. And one of the cool things is that you do some guest speaking. You obviously have written a book we're going to dive into, but I'm really curious about personal branding strategy and just letting people know, what was the reason that you decided to be in front of the company, allow people to see who you were as the CEO and founder? And then what kind of strategy are you using for personal branding to really kind of push your narrative, but then also keep your business kind of in the front?
Yeah. I'm a big believer in having a personal story behind everything because people can relate to that. And the software itself was born out of my personal frustrations and pain points, my first day on the job, and talking to other peers in the industry. And what was hard for me was hard for everybody else in the industry. And once I started the company, people actually started reaching out to me and asking me about the story. How did you come up with the idea? How do I come up with my own idea in the software business? And so I got that question a lot, that I actually went out and built a website separate from my company website. It's my personal website, jbhatty.com. And you're talking about personal branding. So I actually use that as just a medium to educate, enlighten, and also attract new entrants, new students who might be graduating, coming into our industry. So I speak at different universities. I'm going to be speaking at Cornell, my alma mater, and even different energy companies. They have recruiting programs, and I love doing that. There's so many different pain points and inefficiencies and challenges, honestly, in the energy industry that we need the brightest minds to come into our industry. So I keep that separate from the software company. My personal website, the book that I've written is really educational. And I like doing that just because, it helps. When I first started in the industry, I had this book that everybody in the industry read, every trader, and I have it on my desk. So that kind of stuck with me. And I wanted to create something for the next 50 years, for the next generation of natural gas traders coming into the industry.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I love your personal branding information. I checked out your website. There's some really cool graphics and things over there that really present you correctly, which is awesome. And obviously over on the jbhatty.com website, there is a tab that says book author. And if you click on that, then you can see the cover of the book, and we can talk a little bit about that. So you wrote a book called Nat Gas Millions, The Insider Secrets to Striking It Rich. This is obviously a big focus on AI and a handful of other little topics that are part of your industry now, some of the stuff we just mentioned. But this book also hit the #1 Amazon International Bestsellers list, which is great. Congratulations on that. But yeah, talk to me a little bit about the reasons why you decided to write this book. And you just mentioned briefly that you wanted to hit the next generation. So what's the mission of this book? What kind of aspects are we going to learn about this industry in here?
So from the book, it's a good resource for anyone entering the industry. There's a lot of new entrants. Learning about natural gas trading, I've done my MBA, and this is not something they teach you in any program. And the only way to learn it is on the job. And there's a lot of bright students that go into Silicon Valley. They join, they create the next Airbnb, the next Uber. And I feel like they don't know the problems that exist in our industry. They're not taught in schools. They may not have exposure to the industry. And there's actually a lot of problems whether it's reducing your carbon footprint, coming up with cleaner sources of energy, that there are challenges in the industry that we need the best, the brightest minds to come into our industry. So that was one big motivation. Another motivation was when I first started, I remember learning about the industry and kind of stumbling my way and figuring things out. But I wanted to have a resource, kind of like a Bible, to put all the little tidbits and aha moments that I had in the industry when I started working. And I try to put all of those in the book so that even experienced professionals can use it. And then finally, for the professionals in the industry who've been in the industry a while, for them also, there's a lot of information because I interviewed a lot of successful natural gas traders who have become millionaires and billionaires in our industry, CEOs, technology professionals, and some of them lent their ideas anonymously because their companies don't allow them to publish ideas publicly, and some of them revealed their names, so they're on the back of the book. But yeah, I tried to get a wide variety of professionals to share their secrets and how they made money in the market.
Interesting. So you kind of went to some of your peers and talked to them. I mean, does the book really kind of dive into some of those stories too, like how those industry secrets kind of come out and where the revenue stream is? I mean, if I'm a person that's never been involved in natural gas, but now I see and I clearly know that like natural gas in the oil industry has great revenue stream. Like if I wanted to get into there from as a nobody, is this book going to guide me through some of those secrets, or is there still more education that needs to be had before just kind of taking on the reading of the book?
The book is good for somebody starting out in the industry, and it does have stories, anecdotes, about people and characters, real characters in the industry. So there's definitely that, but there's so much in the industry that it's hard to cover in one book. So I try to focus on the physical as opposed to the financial side of trading, because there are other books written on financial trading in options and swaps and derivatives type of books. But there wasn't much on the physical side of the molecules of natural gas, how to move them around, the pipeline network. And so that's what I try to focus on, what traders do on a day-to-day basis, because that's something that is not very visible to the outside world. And for some reason, and for good reason, the pipelines and the energy trading that happens is intentionally kept confidential, because these are national assets, pipelines. And it's even hard to get a pipeline map that's accurate with longitude, latitude, because it's confidential information. And with good reason, the government and companies don't want to reveal this information publicly on the internet. So by design, there's some secrecy to the industry. And so, I try to shed as much light as possible to educate people.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And that makes a lot of sense that it's kind of a secret aspect. Obviously, it's part of the infrastructure of the country. So it makes sense that those things wouldn't want to be extremely public. Take me into the life of a little bit of a trader in this industry really quick, and just kind of give us some basic information about how this stuff truly works so that we have an idea about it.
Traders are kind of the lifeblood of the organization in terms of the buying and selling of natural gas. And natural gas is traded just like any other commodity, like gold and oil. You hear about it on TV. So traders really serve a very important purpose. There are some traders that are actually buying gas, for example, the city of Chicago or the state of California. They're buying energy and they're serving a very important need. And then there are other traders in the market who are on the opposite side. They're looking to take risk. And it's a zero-sum game. If you are a city and you want to get rid of price risk and price volatility, you need somebody on the other side. Risk doesn't just vanish into the air. So I think of traders as insurance companies, and they're transferring risk between one party and another. And if you think about you and me, we couldn't go about our lives because we face daily risks in our lives, like health insurance. You could get sick tomorrow, you could get into a car accident, or travel insurance, and all these different types of insurance. When it allows you to go about living your life and shed that risk and give it to somebody else for a certain amount of money, and that's the profit the traders are looking for. And so it's a very interesting mix of people, these traders. Some of them are risk shedders, some of them are risk takers, and at the end of the day, everybody is trying to be profitable, make money, and serve their end users.
Wow, that's super cool. I mean, I definitely like the kind of the little dive that we did into the natural gas world with you, which is super great. I mean, congrats on the companies for sure. Definitely congrats on the book. It's great to be the #1 Amazon International best-selling list. I mean, that's super cool. It sounds like a book that I want to get my hands on, even though I'm not in the industry, just to learn so much more about this other layer of stuff that we just talked about. So I appreciate you kind of sharing information with me today, but also for writing a book and allowing people to have some of these trade secrets, because clearly the next generation needs to know some of these things. And this looks like a really unique opportunity for them to kind of get an insider's look from your perspective on things that, that people need to know kind of before entering this industry. So that's super cool.
Yeah, thank you. And it was a pleasure writing this book just as an educational project and bringing it out in front of the public. And I'm happy that so many people have appreciated it and found value from it.
Thank you for listening to the show. Please take a minute to head over to www.savfair.com and subscribe to our publication.